Hey guys, it's Ted Bogert. Welcome back to the TED Show. Very excited to have this amazing young lady on the show with me. This is Thais Lopez Vogel. We're going to talk about the Volo Foundation, and I love the title of this show so much. The Sunshine State is becoming the emergency state. We're going to learn all about everything that Thais and her organization do. Welcome, Thais. How are you?
Thank you very much for having me here. I'm good. How are you up there?
I am fantastic. Thank you very much. I was telling you before we went live, I love your outfit and I love your background. You look awesome. And we talked a little bit about fashion, guys, before we got on live here. And so she's definitely in the fashionista world, knowing all that stuff about color. And guys, you know I'm not. So let's talk about you, though. Before we went live, I said the audience loves an origin story. They love to know because people get inspired by journeys. People think they're going through something that nobody's ever gone through, and then they hear a story and they're like, I can do that too. So give us a little 411 on your background.
Well, I'm actually from Venezuela. We're very fashionistas. That's why they look. Originally from Venezuela. I'm an attorney by trade, but an environmentalist by chance. I worked many years in the petroleum company. Came to the United States in 1994 and met my husband, David. We got married in 2007, but a little bit of, he is an MIT graduate student, very scientific. I'm the Latino, the whole Latino wife, like they get to call it. Very emotional, very passionate about what I do. Together we have 6 kids. And they were all born in Orlando. I think that's the thing that keeps us giving to Orlando, the Orlando area. Met in Orlando, got 4 kids. When we got together, he had 2, I had 2, and they were 6, 5, 4, and 3. So we raised those children, and 7 years later, we wanted more. Don't do that at home, okay? So we got twins, a boy and a girl. They're 8 years old now.
Wow. So, you have a very large family, which I love the concept of a large family. I think there's just something special about that when there's so many people that are experiencing the same thing or similar things to you. 6 children, though, God bless you. That is a lot. So, but you do a lot. So that should tell us that if you're a mom of 6 with 6 children, that you obviously know how to stay organized and focused, because you have to be with that many youngins running around.
Yeah, but definitely the importance of the children is because when we decided to create Volo Foundation, and that was in 2014, I think we started like any philanthropies, they always start with health and education. And when Dave analyzed the data on the climate crisis, we realized that the biggest threat to humanity is climate change. And because we have 6 kids, and once you're a mother of one, you're a mother of all, like I always say, thinking of the future generations, we decided to work. 70% of our giving is on climate, and then the other 30% education and health. If you've seen our logo, is a circle, and I think that we're all connected, and it's a circle of life. It's environmental, health, and definitely education. So that's how we started giving to all those sectors, but especially the climate change.
Let's talk about climate change, because I feel like something that should not be such a volatile topic is so volatile. People have such strong opinions either way on it. And I'm always fascinated. Obviously, I won't share exactly where mine is, but I'm pretty sure it's exactly where yours is. But I feel like people get so up in arms over even having a discussion about it or even admitting that it is an issue. So the title of the show is The Sunshine State is Becoming the Emergency State. Let's start there. Let's unravel that and unwrap that. Why is the Sunshine State becoming the emergency state?
Well, obviously, we're having the emergency, the climate emergency is already here, right? In Florida, is experiencing the effects of stronger hurricanes, extreme heat, chronic flooding due to rising sea levels. and affects all areas, tourism, real estate, health, economy, energy, food. When we talk about climate change, at one point, and I don't know when this became politicized. And I think that's why it's such a volatile issue. And it's funny because I was at a radio station the other day and I say, this is not a red or blue issue, it's a green issue. When a hurricane comes to Florida, it doesn't say, okay, here are the Republicans, I'm going to take this path, or here are the Democrats, right? We are all affected by what's going on the environment, and we have to tackle it in a unified way all together and forget about the colors and forget about the parties. This is what we have in order to have a quality life in the future.
Agreed. I agree 100%. It is such an important topic to have a discussion about and not politicize, because it is impact. Even in the years that I've lived in Florida, you can tell the difference. There's a change, and to just deny that any of that has happened or that it has nothing to do with climate change or the things that are impacting climate change just seems to me like burying your head and you're in denial. There is an impact. There has been an impact, and we've seen it. So tell us what we can do. What are some of the things? Because obviously the foundation, as it's targeting climate, the climate issue, climate change, what can we do as people who see it and feel it, and we want to get involved and do better?
Well, I think the most important thing, and I think any environmentalist will tell you, is talk about it. It's not a taboo topic anymore. It's not a taboo subject. And when you talk about it with your kids, let me tell you a story. My oldest daughter, Vanessa, and I wasn't even in the area of climate change when this happened. It was she was like 7 years old. She's now 25, and it was 4th of July, and we have the fireworks going on, right? And we were outside having the party, the fireworks, and all of a sudden she comes out crying. And I'm like, what's going on? It's just like, well, we're killing polar bears and the environment. So your kids, the kids are now so much more in touch with what's happening on the environment that they teach us. I always say, she made me at that point, and we weren't even in the foundation. We weren't in this position of giving that at this point. We are fortunate to be in a position where we can give so much to the community. At that time, we were getting from the community. At one point, my husband and I, we were both unemployed, collecting paychecks from unemployment. So I went ahead and changed all the bulbs in my house because Vanessa was teaching me at 7 years old, this all-grown woman, that something was happening out there and that we could do something. But we had to start talking about it as a regular topic. And you start in your dinner table with your kids, with your family, and that's going to grow to your neighborhood, and then to your city, and then to your state. And that's how it's going to have the ripple effect, and everybody's going to start talking about climate change. Once you get into the topic, you're going to want to know the facts. You're going to want to educate yourself. I invite you all to follow volofoundation.org, and our website has tons of information. We have Instagram, Facebook, all the platforms, Twitter. So inform yourself. And we are critical thinkers. We don't have to believe. I know we're in this era where nobody believes in it. You don't want to believe the government. You don't want to believe the scientists. Think about yourself and look at the facts on your own. I mean, we're smart people. I want to talk a little bit about Hurricane Ian and
Please
what
do.
happened.
Yes.
So Hurricane Ian went far beyond the areas inside the warnings, okay, evacuation zones. And one of the places that got the most, the winds and the worst part was this community called Babcock Ranch. And that is directly northeast by 35 miles of Cayo Costa. I'm reading here. This is a community that in 2019, started thinking of what was going to happen if another hurricane like Katrina at that moment would come. Babcock community sat under a Category 4, Ian, for 8 to 10 hours, yet never lost power, water, or Wi-Fi. No one single solar panel was dislodged, and the battery packs also stayed intact. It wasn't just the solar power that kept the electricity on, but it was actually the hardened grid and the well-planned development, because they have all the electricity, the power lines are underground, okay? So that goes to tell you that if we plan for a future where obviously the hurricanes are getting stronger because the water is warmer, and that makes a tropical storm like started Ian to get fierce. I mean, it became very strong, very fast. Yeah. And that's what's happening to the hurricanes. Nobody's saying that natural disasters are not going to happen. I mean, natural disasters, but they're being fueled by the amount of heat that is not only in the atmosphere, but in the water. So if we reduce that heat and the emissions that we're putting in the atmosphere and in the water, the hurricanes don't get that potent. But at the same time, because they are at this stage now, we have to prepare and we have to think in the future. So thank the government for the first time in the last 20 years, get together and do something in collaboration. And the IRA came up, the Infrastructure Reduction, the Inflation Reduction Act. It was the infrastructure before they changed the name. And for the first time in the history of the United States, a government is giving so much, creating so much from the federal level to the state level resources for climate. And so many of these, I don't know if you have realized, but the families from low income and more poverty are the ones that are affected the most, not only because they don't have the resources to go to a hospital when you have a asthma attack every time because the pollution of the air. 1 out of 10 kids in Florida suffer from respiratory diseases. Because the insurance in your house, you can't even get insurance anymore. I mean, they were high already. I don't know if they're going to exist after Ian and all the hurricanes. And FEMA only gives you $5,000 to $10,000, but the rest is going to come out of pocket of all these families because they didn't have a second flood insurance, especially right now in Fort Myers. The economy, I mean, these billions of dollars that's going to cost us to rebuild in Fort Myers comes out of the taxpayers' pockets. So what I wish people would understand is that everything relates to climate. We're getting close to the elections, November 8th. And for the first time in history, climate change is number 4 in the list of what's more important for people to go vote. And I always say economy, immigration, the last hurricane that hit the Bahamas, where did all those people go to? They come to America. So immigration is also fueled and driven by climate change. Puerto Rico, Hurricane Maria. Orlando got fuel of people from Puerto Rico. So people think of economy, immigration, terrorism. I mean, the heat and the lack of water in those countries like in Syria is what makes these huge wars. And when people are in heat, I don't know if you sit in your car in traffic, but when it's hot, I feel more tense.
Yeah, you feel more tense and you're more stressed out when you're hot.
Definitely. So the heat waves and these temperatures, and they even create health issues. I was talking about the pollution in the air, but also heat strokes. A lot of people are dying from heat strokes. And what about the construction, the people that work outside the house that don't have the air conditioning? We're going to have to reduce the time of people working out there in construction because after 2 o'clock in the afternoon or in those middles, you cannot be out there with these extreme temperatures. So everything is connect the dots and see where everything connects to climate change.
And with that, tell me the best way, like if somebody's watching and they go, I love what Thais said, how can they get involved? Can they get involved and volunteer at the foundation? Can organizations reach out to you? What can someone do who's watching and says, besides the dinner table, if they want to learn more about you, get involved with the foundation, what's the best way? What can they do?
Well, definitely, if you're a philanthropist, I always say, let's start giving a little bit more to those organizations, grassroots organizations that are advocating for the environment, for climate change. If you are a teacher, I mean, get involved with your students. Education is the number one. There's no future without environmental education. We need to teach these kids to protect the environment, not to use plastic, not to waste food. The waste of food creates methane in the atmosphere, and this is more greenhouse gases. If you are a regular person in your house, start using the water bottle. No, don't use the plastic bottles. Use these kind of bottles. Change the light bulbs. I mean, little things, but most importantly, vote. Use your voice, because it's too easy to sit down in your house and blame the governor, the government, the mayor, everybody, but you didn't do anything about it. If you tell them that you want in their agenda to have the solutions for climate change, because let me tell you something, the solutions and the technology exist. We have the solutions. What we need is the will of the politicians to act on them. So, and we drive the political arena, right? In some way, don't ever think that your vote doesn't count. I mean, we're about to go vote on November 8th, and I can give you an example. There was a Jose Diaz in Miami. He lost a Senate seat by 34 votes. Wow. 34 votes. So if you think about your vote doesn't count, we have in this democracy in the United States, I mean, I live in Venezuela, I can give you stories from other countries, and we have a very secure way to vote. Whether you do it by mail or whether you go in person, your vote is secure. So go and talk for whoever you want, but go and see your electoral candidates, see what they stand for, study, educate yourself, and then raise your voices.
I love it. Look, you're inspiring me, and I always get out and vote. I think it's so important too. You're right. So vote. November 8th is when you should vote. All of you who, Thais is absolutely right. If you're sitting at home and you're complaining, but you won't get out and vote, then I don't know how you can continue to complain. Get out and be part of the solution. And you are 1,000% right. Your vote counts. Believe me, it counts. We have seen it. And so I just want to encourage everyone to get out and vote if climate change, and it should be, is important to you, and trying to get it under control and figure out how we can do better for our world and our children and grandchildren and further on, then you should get out and vote. Identify the candidates that follow along with that thought process. And do something.
Yes, do something. Ted, I'm going to invite you also. You asked me about the emergency state, and that is a campaign that the CLEO organization, they partner with Volo Foundation. Those are two non-profit organizations led by women, let me tell you. But we also partner with the Union of Concerned Scientists and UCF. And we made this campaign with an agency, a creative agency, is Subi. And we created this video that has gone viral, and I invite you to go see it. It's called the Emergency State Gift Shop, and it's a gift shop, the regular gift shop, you know, the Florida, the Sunshine State. So we changed the name. It is the Emergency State. But I don't want to ruin it for you, but there is a twist on the video, and there is a surprise, and it shows you how climate change is affecting the life of all of us every day. I mean, it's not something that's going to happen in 2020 or 40. It's happening right now. And what we want is to create awareness. Is you can go to thecleoinstitute.org, Florida in Emergency, and you can also look it up on YouTube, Florida the Emergency State, and it will be there. And it asks you to sign a petition saying, please do something about climate change because it's happening here. So that's one of my asks right now. Also, Volo Foundation also supports many organizations, humanitarian organizations. I know baby Johnny Magic with the baby DJ, Christmas is coming. We always do that, and it's an iHeartRadio. and is a system for economically disadvantaged families in Central Florida. That's one of my babies. We support that one. We support Camp Boggy Creek, another one that came by our oldest son has a heart when he had it. Now he's a marathon runner, but he had an issue when he was born. And we have gone to Camp Boggy Creek, not only himself, but Camp Boggy Creek also does family retreats. And they were, that was, I think that was my first organization that we started giving in Orlando, even when we didn't have much money. And Orlando Science Center is about to open. It's called the Earth Matters exhibit in 2023 in January. I invite you all to go to the Orlando Science Center. Is something that we created, and it opened eyes for not only kids but adults as well. So that's another one that I want you to go and visit the Orlando Science Center in 2023 with the Earth Matters.
Wendy told me you're amazing, but you are absolutely amazing and inspiring, and your passion for what you do is palpable. And I love that. I think people need to listen, and you're giving them plenty of opportunities to learn more. And the video that Thais mentioned, I will make sure it's in the link in the comments below, and you guys can check it out. Thais, what a joy and a pleasure and an honor to have you on the show. Thank you for all you're doing for our world. I know you're making an impact, a big impact, and I appreciate everything that you do for our community. What a joy. You're amazing.
Thank you for having me one more time, and thank you for giving us. I always think any platform that gives a little voice to the climate emergency is a great platform, because that's something that should be in the news every day.
Agreed. All right, volofoundation.org, and I will put the link to the video that Thais talked about in the comments below. Y'all get out, vote, get involved, find out more, be educated on your own. Just like Thais said, do your own research, vote with candidates that you know align with what you believe. And in this case, climate change should be on everyone's agenda. And so let's make it important to our political candidates and let them know that it's important to us. So thank